Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Coffee and Contemplation brought to you by Spotlight Recovery. It is May 21st. We've got a reflection today on disappointments. What about disappointments? Definitely a good topic for us folks in recovery because we tend to have control issues and we'll have overly emotional or whatever reactions to when things don't go our way. So, figured it was a good one to cover. So I'm going to put it up on the screen here. If you're just listening on audio, as always, we've got the description or the reading in the description so you can read along or save it to your phone. And let's get into it. What is a disappointment? Try as we will for success and achievement, we still must face a number of disappointments in our lives. We may be disappointed by a sales presentation that failed, a repair project that became a nightmare, or a vacation plan that turned sour. How can we handle such disappointments in the spirit of the 12-step program? We must remember not to be too hard on ourselves when disappointments occur. Disappointments are part of the human experience, not misfortunes that come only to certain individuals. If we've done our best in any situation, we are not responsible if it did not work out. Even more important, we should use every disappointment as a learning experience. It's always possible that one disappointment will provide kernels of truth that will help us succeed in our next effort. Many people point to specific disappointments or setbacks as times when they are able to find new direction. There are even times when disappointment in a lesser enterprise clears the way for success in a larger one. Whatever the outcome, no disappointment need be final, nor should we take it as proof that we're somehow inadequate and unworthy. I will be positive in my outlook, expecting every effort to be effective and successful. If disappointment comes, however, I will take it in stride, knowing that it's only a temporary detour in my successful life. And this reflection is from Walk in Dry Places. I don't know if you can hear that storm coming in behind me. Hopefully you're all good and the power doesn't cut in the middle of recording this. I think this is a great one. I like the perspectives. I like this topic that they chose and what they wrote about. I definitely resonate with this a lot. Just going through it. So I remember when I first entered recovery, reading these lines, a sales presentation that failed, a repair project became a nightmare, a vacation that turned sour. Like I had trigger warning. I had just survived suicide and I was on welfare. And I was in community sober living. So I got resentful. Like I know I've read this before or something similar. And I just got resentful by that initial thing when I'm like, oh man, poor you and your privileged disappointments of your sales job and repairs in your house that you live in and vacations you get to go on. Like, oh, that must be so terrible. Like I remember getting so resentful and frustrated reading that. I was just like, what about the disappointment of when my no-name coffee isn't on sale and then I don't know if I can afford more for this week or not? What about that disappointment? Like that was stuff that really stood out for me. That stood out for me a lot. So how big or small the disappointments may be, they're disappointments for you. And that's an important perspective to have, there's always the if you're disappointed about, like some food didn't turn out some way. You try to cook a new recipe or whatever, and it doesn't go as planned, or compared to what I was talking about on not having enough money for good quality or sufficient amount of food, and that whole there's starving people everywhere. These arguments don't actually help. I don't feel they're helpful because they're not applicable to my moment and my present day right now. So thanks for just adding more of a guilt trip onto my already disappointing situation. So that crap doesn't help. So take some of that perspective thrown out the window. Not helpful, not useful for you, right? So this next paragraph here, we must remember not to be too hard on ourselves, or I'd say ourselves or others or on life when disappointments occur. So I love this perspective of disappointments are a part of the human experience. That's another too to keep in mind. It happens to everybody, everywhere, all the time. Oh, there comes that rain. Beautiful. It's not something that we can then turn around and uses ammo to play the victim card. Oh, this always happens to me. This is so unfair, all this other stuff. Like, well, no. It happens to everybody everywhere all the time. That is a normal thing. So it's definitely not like justification that we can, like I said, be the victim over or use over or anything like that. Yeah, so that's just one thing that's kind of standing out for me with this, and I like that they mention and talk about that too, because that is stuff that I absolutely, if I'm in my disease, I will use in my addict brain to then justify whatever those feelings are, that disappointment, or just things not going my way, things being beyond my control, fighting those control issues. So that's just another important perspective to have. It happens everywhere all the time. It's not justification for our poor behavior, addict behavior, an excuse to use, whatever it may be. This is just a normal thing, So then I like to talk about the full perspective shift here. Now, right, because as we talk about on the show, a good baseline for recovery-oriented behavior is to make it the opposite of your addict behavior. So they get into that now, and even beyond just accepting that disappointment is a natural part of life. It's not something we may be able to control or not. Further than that, use it as a learning experience. What's something you can take out of this? How can you learn from this? How can you grow from this? Even if those things are just literally learning how to let go better, learning how to accept when things don't go your way, learning to accept disappointment, learning how to not have such strong or impulsive reactions to things, right? Those are great lessons and pieces of growth that we can get out of these kind of situations. It says here, sometimes the disappointment could provide kernels of truth that will help us succeed in our next effort. And I do like this point, which I've heard, like just from my life experience, many people point to specific disappointments or setbacks as times when they are able to find new direction. There's this great country song, I know, Groner, for all you who don't listen to country out there. The song is called This by Darius Rucker. He was the old lead singer of Hootie and the Blowfish. And I love the song just because the perspective, he sings about all these things in his life that didn't work out and how the result was it led him to this. This is where his life is now because all these things didn't work out, and he's so grateful for that. And he's so glad that he doesn't have control, because if he did, he would have made things go his way in his brain, and then they wouldn't have resulted in this, which has now resulted in a better, more fruitful life. So anyway, check that one out. Even if you're not a country fan, I say give it a shot. Or then if you really can't do it, read the lyrics, because the perspective is really, really good. I just really like that. So check that stuff out. And so I like that they talk about that in this reflection on not only just, okay, disappointment happens, learn and accept, understand, and then how do we grow from and shift this quote-unquote disappointment. Really good perspectives here that I really appreciate. Really applicable to recovery. Really good stuff. There are even times when disappointment in a lesser enterprise clears the way for success in a larger one. Whatever the outcome, no disappointment need be final, nor should we take it as proof that we're somehow inadequate and unworthy. Yeah, I like these. What's this? Yeah, I'm just going to keep reading here. What is in the end of the reflection here? I will be positive in my outlook, expecting every effort to be effective and successful. If disappointment comes, however, I will take it in stride, knowing that it's only a temporary detour in my successful life. So I may have missed a line here. That's not what I was looking for. Bear with me. I'm just trying to... Yeah. Okay, so it's actually one of the last lines in the second paragraph here. If we've done our best in any situation, we are not responsible if it did not work out. So it's important to not use this as a cop-out here, so to be mindful about that perspective. But there is truth to that, and it's an important thing to know and think about. If we've done our best in any situation, we're not responsible if it did not work out, right? So this is very much step 3 if you're in a 12-step program. this thought of, if I've done the work, I know I've done everything I can, then I let go of the result. And then if it didn't work, well, I know I did everything I could, so I can't beat myself up for the fact that it didn't work. I gave it all I had, you know? So that's a really important perspective to have too as we carry through this, because it's easy for our addict to use these as other pieces of ammunition, ways to beat us down, say, oh yeah, we're unworthy, you screwed this up, you were lazy, this is your fault. Whatever negative self-talk it can throw in there, it's gonna try and do it. So having this perspective also helps combat, for lack of a better word, that negative self-talk that our disease is trying to fill us with, right? You have responses where you know that isn't true. That's not the case, and you don't let that sink in, essentially. So, yeah. I like that they talk about that as well. And I think we're just gonna finish up on that. I think this is a good reflection. I like that they talk about these stages on even questioning what is a disappointment, and then what are things we can do, what work can we do around that? Not only just to accept and look at it as a natural, normal part of life, not just things solely not going our way, not playing the victim or relapsing about it, and then instead, where can we learn and grow and develop from this? Really like all of that. So that's what pops out for me in this reflection, and I really hope you enjoyed it. So please, down in the description, write down what stood out for you. How did you connect with this reflection? Would love to hear those comments. And in the description, there are other ways that Spotlight Recovery can support you and ways that you can support Spotlight Recovery. The main highlight is that I do recovery coaching with folks. So if you're looking for some more support around any of these things, please reach out to me, and would love to see if there's a way that I can help guide you on these perspectives in your recovery. Okay? But either way, just thank you for stopping by and enjoying the episode today. Wishing you a blessed 24 in your recovery, being able to curb and accept some disappointment, and we'll see you again tomorrow.